In this video, I'd like to demonstrate a simple technique for adding interaction between a real actor and a virtual world. Here's an example. In this scene, the girl appears to touch and move the water. We require a simple solution to this problem. Before you continue, keep in mind that this is not a tutorial on liquid simulation, motion tracking, or green screen compositing. We've discussed these topics in previous videos, and we'll do so again in future ones. In this video, I'll just give you an overview of these techniques to help you understand what we're talking about. I'll go into more detail only on the part about interacting with the virtual world. So, first and foremost, we require live footage. We shot the green screen video in our studio. We put some markers not only on the background and the ground, but also on these cubes. This is important because we need to track them in order to determine the true position of the pool's borders in 3D space. When shooting a video for a virtual production like this, remember to place the markers where you need to add some 3D objects. The next step is to obtain the camera movement in order to create a virtual camera that moves in the same way as the real one. As usual, we can do so in the motion tracking pane. Track the markers. Then, solve the camera motion. Also, make a basic 3D scene. After that, you'll have a virtual camera that moves just like the real one. We also have the virtual markers here. We can now create the 3D scene. For example, I created this simple scene that resembles ancient Greece. This pool was also modeled and placed in the same position as the boxes in the original footage. We must now add some water. I need to specify the domain in which the simulation will take place. This is a simple box that must be placed and scaled in the location where we want the water to be. Then we'll need to add another mesh to represent the liquid itself. You can scale it to be slightly larger than the domain on the X and Y axes. However, in terms of height, position it where you want the liquid surface to be. Select the domain, and then add the fluid physics property. Choose Domain as the fluid type. As previously stated, this is the area where the simulation will take place. Choose Liquid as the domain type. Then, select the liquid box. Add the fluid physics property, and this time, select the flow type. And, of course, liquid is the type of flow. The flow behavior must be set as geometry. Now we can configure all of the other properties, such as resolution divisions, cache type, time steps, and any other options we want. When you're finished, save the simulation to disk. As a result, we have liquid particles in the corresponding mesh. Now we must return to the main topic of this video, which is how to move the water in time with the actor. The simplest way to do this is to add a fake hand that moves in the same way as the real one. Consider the significance of this marker in order to do so. It was placed where the actor came to a halt. As a result, this is a good place to start when deciding where to put the virtual hand. Again, this demonstrates how critical it is to position the markers correctly. All that remains is to animate the box so that it moves with her hand. The best way to do this is to open the camera view and add some keyframes to follow the hand's movement. Now we have a virtual hand. I'm going to give this object a collision property so it can interact with the water simulation. Assign the fluid property again And this time select Effector from the drop-down menu. We have two options for effector type. Collision means that the object can interact with the fluid particles in the same way that any rigid body object can do. On the other hand, guide implies that the object adds some velocity to the fluid based on its movement and direction. We can leave it as collision in this case. When we bake the simulation again, the virtual hand acts as a collision object, causing the liquid particles to move as a result. And, of course, the associated mesh. It is now simply a matter of combining the live footage with the virtual scene. I opened the video in After Effects and used the Key Light plugin to make the background transparent. To get rid of the set, I made a mask that moved like the actor. Then I simply added in the virtual scene. However, there is one more step to take in order to achieve a more realistic result. The hand must feel as if it is entering the water. So I added another mask to isolate only the portion of the hand that goes into the water and reduce the layer's opacity. This is a general workflow for creating virtual objects that fake the real ones. Of course, this can be used whenever we need an interaction of a real footage with a virtual world.